Thank you everybody for coming today for this reading. Thank you for to the festival. I thank you to all the actors. I'm Tabitha Vidaurri. I'm the screenwriter, and today we're going to be reading a scene from House of the Bleeding Hands. So, when a West Texas women's shelter is attacked by killer insects, the residents quickly band together to combat these horrific monsters. As domestic abuse survivors, former sex workers, and recovering substance users, they already know the drill. Some assholes want them dead for no good reason. As the shelter residents fight back, they prove to be more resilient and resourceful and not simply the helpless, battered women that society have labeled them to be. It's a story about overcoming trauma and battling the many different kinds of monsters women in America have to face. So the story begins when the sheriff of a small town brings Luz and her young daughter to the House of the Bleeding Hand shelter. Luz is terrified that her ex is going to track her down and kill her, which is definitely his plan. She meets the various residents of the shelter, all of whom are intimately familiar with violence and have nowhere to go but this very Catholic women's shelter. So if this wasn't already a bad enough situation, it turns out that this shelter is located right next to a nest of prehistoric insects. The children at the shelter are the first to see them, and they liken them to cicadas, although they are very different from the cicadas we know. These bugs are the size of cows, and worse, they want to either eat you or lay their eggs inside of you. Plus, the egg-laying female bugs have a disturbing ability to release a cloud of pheromones that can make you hallucinate your most traumatic memories. And the male bugs have giant pincers that can maim you and kill you. So in the scene we're about to read, 3 women have already been killed by bugs. The town police are busy dealing with a separate issue and are not responding to the shelter's 911 calls. So the women in this scene are desperately trying to figure out how to defend themselves with the meager weapons that they have available. So I will hand it over to Alex now, who is reading our stage direction.
Setting: a West Texas women's shelter in an old Victorian farmhouse, about 11 at night. Interior kitchen, continuous. Anna and Winona rifle through the drawers in the kitchen, grabbing anything that could be used as a weapon.
We don't have enough knives for everybody.
I don't think knives are going to do jack shit against those things. What else can we use?
We've got shovels and a rake out in the shed.
Nurse Colby and Lenore come in.
How is she?
He's got a concussion.
You got a gun in your car?
What? No.
Lenore, I'm guessing you don't either.
Lenore shakes her head.
I just remembered. I have a crossbow in my trunk from hunting.
Nurse Colby holds up her phone and shows a photo of herself holding a crossbow, smiling, wearing hunting gear.
Okay, that could be helpful.
But how are we going to get it? Those things are blocking the cars. It's going to have to be the shed then. I mean, at least with a shovel, you can get some leverage or whatever, or just beat the shit out of it.
Exterior rear entrance, continuous. Winona and Lenore come out of the kitchen door at the rear of the house. Jesse follows them out the door.
No, stay in the house.
I want to help.
Stay inside.
Jesse reluctantly goes back inside. Winona and Lenore walk toward the shed. Winona leads the way, pointing her gun in front of her. Lenore follows behind with a flashlight she's got attached around her neck on a lanyard. The light from the back porch doesn't reach more than a few yards, and the 2 women are now entering darkness, pierced only by Lenore's beam of light. Cut to female bug's point of view. We see the 2 women slowly walking toward the shed. The female bug emits a nearly invisible fog of pheromones. Our field of vision slightly wavers, the way heat bends the horizon on the highway. Interior kitchen, continuous. Sharon and Anna tensely watch Winona and Lenore walk toward the shed. They were making good progress, but suddenly they've stopped cold.
What are they doing?
Sharon leans out the window.
Hey, what's going on?
Exterior backyard, continuous. Winona and Lenore are about 10 yards away from the shed. Sharon is calling to them, but her voice is suddenly faint, as if it's far away.
Hey, Winona.
Winona turns to look back at the house, but it's no longer there, just a blur of the porch light, and no sound of Sharon. Lenore is having a similar reaction. She's looking out into the desert, and at first she sees nothing, but then there's a strange light in front of her. Suddenly we hear the hiss of an oxygen pump and the steady beeping of an EKG machine. Lenore moves towards these hospital sounds. Meanwhile, Winona is hearing things too. A man's voice calls out to her from somewhere far away. The voice has a thick Texan accent. The man sounds drunk.
Winona, what the hell are you doing?
Winona instantly recognizes this voice. Exterior rear entrance, continuous. Sharon slips outside the screen door. She's reluctant to leave the house, but she has to do something. This situation is going completely off the rails. Lenore is wandering further off into the distance, and Winona is totally frozen in place.
Winona!
Exterior backyard, continuous. Lenore keeps walking. Absurdly, there is a hospital bed in the desert at the edge of the yard. It seems to be bathed in a spotlight. Suddenly, Lenore is at the bedside. Lenore's mother, a Filipina in her early 30s, is in the bed. She's pale and emaciated from a terminal illness. Beeps and hiss of the oxygen pump and EKG machines are louder. Lenore's mother is in her death throes. She struggles to breathe.
My sweet girl, you have to be strong. You have to be a big girl now for Mama.
Lenore watches, tears streaming down her face. Lenore's mother reaches out her feeble, shaking hand. Lenore reaches out to take her mother's hand, and we are back in reality. There is no hospital bed, just a male bug glaring at her. Lenore's outstretched hand is neatly snipped off at the wrist by the male bug's pincers. Lenore watches her own hand fall to the ground. Meanwhile, on the other side of the yard, Winona continues having a similar otherworldly experience. She is disoriented. She can't tell which way the man's voice is coming from now. It sounds far away, but from where?
Winona!
Suddenly, we hear the man's voice again, and it's much, much closer. It sounds like it's standing right behind her.
What'd you do this time, shithead?
Winona turns around. For a second, we catch a glimpse of the man standing behind her. He's tall. He's wearing a cowboy hat and cowboy boots, and he's holding a belt. And suddenly, it's not a man at all. It's Sharon. She's very worried. She slaps Winona across the face.
Wake up, please!
Sharon grabs a hold of Winona's shoulders. Winona jolts back to reality.
Where did Lenore go?
What? She was right next to me.
There's no sign of Lenore anywhere.
Help me get this shit so we can find her.
Sharon opens the door to the shed. A huge amount of water spills out on her legs and feet. Winona is no longer standing next to Sharon. Suddenly, it's pouring rain. Sharon is now standing in the middle of a hurricane. She's completely forgotten what she was just doing. There's a flash of lightning. For a moment, we see the entire backyard is illuminated. We see that there is a man standing near Sharon. He's African American in his mid-30s, and he's holding on to James, gripping the little boy hard by the arm. James looks terrified and is squirming to get out of his grip. There's a crash of thunder. Sharon starts to run toward the man and her son.
Get off him!
There's another flash of lightning. This time it's not Sharon's ex, it's Winona, and Winona slaps her across the face. We're back in reality. No rain, no man, just a very worried-looking Winona.
James! Where's James?
He's in the house.
I saw him. He was out there.
She points to the darkness beyond.
The gals are looking after him. He's fine.
Winona hands Sharon a shovel, a rake, and a few 2x4s she's pulled out of the shed. Sharon rubs her cheek.
Why'd you hit me?
You went all weird. And you just slapped me a minute ago.
Winona picks up her own haul of tools and starts walking back toward the house.
Come on. Lenore?
Sharon is still sort of dazed.
I could have sworn I was in Houston.
Hey, Lenore!
Sharon hears a whimper coming from a few yards behind her. She whips around and shines her phone flashlight into the darkness. It lights up where Lenore is kneeling on the ground.
Look!
Sharon points to Lenore. She's holding her arm. She appears to be injured.
Lenore!
Lenore doesn't look up or seem to notice.
Fuck.
Winona starts walking toward Lenore when suddenly a male bug appears and drags Lenore away at a frightening speed. Sharon screams. Interior kitchen, continuous. Jesse witnesses Lenore being whisked away by the bug. They both disappear in the darkness west of the house. Exterior backyard. Winona turns to run, but once again, everything is gone. The house, Sharon, everything.
Where are you going?
She turns around and sees the man in the cowboy hat. He's somehow bigger than before, almost as if Winona were actually the size of a child, not an adult. The belt he's carrying is absurdly long.
What are you doing in that tool shed? Huh?
I
The man's eyes are a piss-pantsing nightmare. A pants-pissing nightmare.
Answer me, dipshit.
He cracks the belt. Winona shudders.
I don't like liars.
His voice oscillates between a normal human pitch and a lower, distorted pitch.
I don't like liars.
Suddenly, the shed tools are being wrenched from Winona's hands. Winona snaps back to reality. Jesse is pulling the tools away from her.
What is wrong with you bitches?
Winona looks at Jesse and realizes what's actually happening. Jesse takes a long plank of wood.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, hello. Go inside the house.
She shoves Winona in the direction of the porch door.
Go. S inside.
Jesse walks to where Sharon is frozen. She takes Sharon's shoulders and rotates her 180 degrees so she's facing the house again.
This way. Come on. Good girl.
Cut to female bug's point of view. Winona walks toward the house as Jesse follows her, pushing Sharon. The female bug releases more pheromones, but it doesn't seem to have any effect on Jesse. A male bug comes out of the darkness, barreling towards Jesse as if it were an angry bull. There is a shotgun blast, and the male bug is knocked sideways by the force of the bullet. The male bug is injured, but it's leaking a dark, viscous fluid. We see that Connie was the one holding the shotgun.
You have a fucking shotgun the whole time?
Get in the damn house.
Interior kitchen, moments later. Jesse, Connie, Winona, and Sharon enter the kitchen. Anna helps take the shed tools and put them on the counter.
Anna, get everybody together. I'll be in there in a minute.
Anna nods and leaves. Winona takes the shotgun from Connie.
Any other hidden guns you'd like to tell me about?
I forgot I had it.
You forgot you had a shotgun?
I used it one time on a coyote. That's it.
Where's the rest of the bullets?
Connie points to the package of bullets on the counter. Winona looks through them. Jesse points directly, rudely, at Sharon's face.
Why did you stand still like that?
It started raining.
No, this did not happen.
She points again, this time at Winona.
You too.
There was a man.
No,
I didn't see anyone.
the yard was empty.
We were hallucinating? How? How, though?
You think those things can do that? Make us see stuff?
All I know is I saw something that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It got us to stand still. However it does that, it makes you stand still or walk towards it.
That's how it got Lenore.
Connie covers her mouth in shock.
Yeah, she's gone.
Winona bangs her fist on the counter. It's either hit something or start crying.
Shit.
Sharon looks at Jesse, who is now eating from a bag of chips she found on the counter.
Did you see anything?
I told you, empty yard.
I mean, did you see anything from your past, like a bad memory?
I see this every day.
Winona is losing patience with Jesse.
No, she means something horrific, like your worst memory come to life again right in front of you.
I told you, I see this every day. You know the pills I have to take, they don't work.
Jesse shrugs and puts more chips in her mouth. Interior common room, moments later. The entire household is gathered in the common room. Winona and Connie stand in front of the group to give an update on the situation.
Irene was one of our most beloved volunteers. And as a social worker, Lenore touched the lives of every woman who came through here. Mbia was only with us a short while, but she was such a wonderful person. They will all be deeply missed.
Arlene can't understand what Connie is saying. She elbows Marisol.
What's she saying?
3 people are dead.
What the fuck is happening?
Connie has become overwhelmed with emotion and has to step away to blow her nose. Winona senses that everyone is losing focus and becoming upset, so she steps in. She's loud and it gets everyone's attention.
Okay, you know the drill. There's some assholes out there who want to kill us for no good reason, and nobody's coming out here to help.
Anna stands up and translates what Winona is saying into Spanish.
First thing to do is take the children, as well as anyone who's injured, to stay up in the attic in Marisol's room. For those of you who aren't hurt, I suggest grabbing something sharp or something heavy, keeping your eyes open, and being very fucking careful. And scene. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. That was our scene from House of the Bleeding Hands. And once again, I'd like to thank Imagine This Women's Film Festival and all the actors today, Christina and Angel and Jane and Artie and Alex and Sana. Thank you so much. Everyone did such a great job.